your financial problems get worse. You see what I'm saying? Because you got two forces. You got a force, the ignorance is a force, and it likes to be around. It wants to be around. It wants not to know nothing. So therefore, it's going to fight you when you're going into higher knowledge. So if you are into some type of consciousness at this particular time, you need to put yourself and pat yourself on the back, as well as to say, when those thoughts come in your mind every 2 days, you know, should I continue this bullshit? You know, this shit happens. Because when you see black people, that's enough to make anybody head to the damn hills. You see damn hills and shit. You see one on the street acting like a fool, and you see the ones that ride down in all the vehicles and shit, with all their white women and everything else acting like fools. Don't want to hear shit. And you be like, man, damn shit. Should I continue this shit? You know what I'm saying? Well, you must understand when that particular time happens, you must understand how special your role is now. So what I'm saying is, at this particular time, just because there's so few people into the consciousness where it's not a fashionable statement anymore, a fad anymore, that is where you really need to be, because that is the illumination.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to part 5. Thank you for taking the time to get here. Those wise words from Brother Bobby Hemmitt on consciousness and how, you know, this is the only illumination. You know, this is the real illumination. You know, taking knowledge and researching it, you know. We're in the age of enlightenment. Brother Bobby Hemmett, I'm basically telling you that. So, we're here in part 5. We're going to get into the metaphysics, the occult, esoteric knowledge of everything. We're going to some religions that predicted this. You know, it all coincide. They're talking about the same thing. That's all they are. Talk about the age of Aquarius. Gonna touch on a couple more political things, and just what it's all leading up to. So, without further ado, let me get into right here. First sun dimming experiment will test a way to cool Earth. So boom. They're planning to spray sunlight reflecting particles in the stratosphere, trying to turn down Earth's thermostat. This was in this article done in 2018, November 2018, trying to figure out how to stop the sun's rays from beaming down into Earth. Now we know they're trying to stop global warming, but why? We have to figure out what is global warming really. Here we have what they call a global intervention. One way to cool the planet quickly would be to make the sky block more sunlight. But predicting the knock-on effects, both positive and negative, remains a challenge. Here, basically talking about chemtrails. High-flying planes could release small particles into the stratosphere to reflect incoming rays. This reduced global temperatures by 1.5 degrees Celsius for less than $10 billion a year. This is all a couple things they plan to do to dim the sun's rays, basically. And why, though? You know, if nature is doing its duty, why are they trying to mess with it? But we'll get into that later. You know, we're touching real hard on the metaphysical side right now, but we're just going to touch on the scientific, touch on some political, but for the most part, yeah. And we see we're going to get to some CMEs they're talking about. Yeah, I just wanted to point out time-lapse footage taken over 15 years reveals the Antarctic melting away as warmer seawater flows around it. And if we go to that website, think we can even watch it, see how it goes. This is the ice cap melting right here. Now, why is this important, y'all say? Antarctica melting. And we're going to get into that later. You know, this is just the beginning. Just want to show y'all some evidence in the first place, like I said. Yeah. Just basically melting down Antarctica. So boom. There's a couple things. Bright comet approaching in space. There's been a whole bunch of comets and asteroids like we spoke about in the I think part 3 it was. There's up to 2,000 asteroids, comets have been passing Earth, I think, in the past couple years. Now this is important. This as well, because we were talking about events happening, you know, rare events coinciding this year. And here we have the spring features 2 supermoons back to back in March and in April. And this hoax is taking place, putting people on lockdown in March and in April. So here we go, another coincidence of these full moons. This spring features 3 supermoons back to back to back, actually. Okay. Here we have the predicting Sirius B, where the Dogon performed a Siggy ceremony every time Sirius A and Sirius B switches paths, basically. Basically take the path of the other one, switch upside down, you know, or right side up, whichever one. And every 60 years or so it happens. They perform the ceremony 59.9 years. So here we see in 1980 is happening. They're on track. Finally, like by this graph seems a little bit off with the 1940 between 1960, but and between 1960 and 1980 being so small. But if anything, we'll be able to predict that this is 2000 and then possibly 2020 afterwards, or this could be 2000 and 2010 would be right when they're coming in to have switched, and then 2020 where they make the full switch, just as in 1960 they made the full switch, or here in like 1958, 1959, I would say, because it's a big gap closer to the 1960 area. We go off to the we talk about the Dogon because they are a tribe, and you know they've known for centuries that their ancestors came from the Sirius star system, which happens to be 8.5 light years away. You know, we'll talk about the 8 in a little bit. And although, you know, the Dogon, they lived far away from Egypt, they are familiar with the Sirius star aliens who were said to have imparted knowledge to them hundreds of years ago. These beings were called the Nomos, amphibious beings, which we'll connect later on what some Nomos are, coming from the same star system as the Egyptian god Isis, who we'll speak about as well, who the Nomos are. Because we did just come out of the age of Pisces, so Nomos are amphibious beings, Pisces are amphibious beings, or you know, it's the 2 fishes. So, but we'll get into a couple things later. Now y'all see this picture, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars aligning. We'll get into that a little bit later. when was this picture taken? Not too long ago. But among other things. I want to touch on a couple more political things that I've found just to finish it off. We got the man with the hantavirus, having to do with rodents, rats. If you watch my previous videos, this is the year of the rat. The Democrats had, switched their logo to a rat, but then they switched it back the same day. And if you even looking at Democrats, I mean, what's the last 4 letters of the damn word? It's rats. So from eating rat feces or whatever, hantavirus. This man's talking about letting grandparents sacrifice themselves to capture, this man wanted grandparents to sacrifice themselves, which, it's just a plea, this is, like I talked about before, this is just attacking old people anyway to get their land. Also, stop paying them Social Security or disability or any veteran, checks that need to be paid out. Take out the old people that aren't in the workforce that are receiving money. Shit like that. And they own so much land and aren't, don't want to give it up. So, this flu has been made to attack them as well. Them specifically, especially with the, the FIG waves and shit. They're not used to it because they're older people, and younger people are used to it because they got their damn face all in their damn tablet all the goddamn time. So they're used to these waves. They've been adapted. It might affect them a little bit, but for the most part, it's affecting older people. So, letting grandparents sacrifice themselves. Oh, y'all gonna die anyway. It's fucked up. They know what they're doing. Alright, so I want to get into this whole, which, I'm going to feature Bobby Hemmitt another time, right here. I want to get into this whole shit about the census. We also got to understand that we in World War III. I do know that Trump did just call for extra troops. Call the reserves in. Basically, but we have to understand what the census is for. What we're voting for. Because they're still taking votes. You gotta understand what the blood bank's being used for. They even take information down then. And understand we in World War III. And how they're covering shit up because they want reserves. But listen to brother Bobby Hemmitt here, how they're trying to influence as well, to call on the people to fight a war that does not even need to be fought, but it's just to make more money because, like I said, what is it? The Fed is printing money, so, which we'll get into more. The Fed is printing money for war. They're giving money for war. It's building up patriotism right now with giving out money. So the Fed was able to print that money out with the what is it? What is it? God damn it. The absolute of war happening. So let's get into this video real quick. Brother Bobby Hemmitt.
So, this Kerry, this thing that went down. They had all the rappers come out talking about vote or die.
Yes.
And as a result, they had the biggest turnout in voter history of young black people. And it's all a part of a government system to stand up to be counted. They couldn't count, every census, they couldn't count black men from 18 to 35 or 18 to 45. They just basically after 18 just disappear off the planet. Because they're not in a, see, women are more in a social program and an order based on women all as a stickler for security. So you're going to go to college, you're going to do this. Everything you do is based on security. Am I going to be secure? So therefore, you are closely locked into the system compared to the black males. And they can't track the black males. They literally disappear after 18 after leaving the mama's house. You see what I'm saying? Because they don't vote, they don't do this, they don't do that. So they said, stand up to be counted. Big brother needs to know where you are. So as a result, they came in and said, vote or die. This is a military thing. If you're in the military, and you sign up for the military, and you're in the military-industrial complex, they tell you you either fight or we can execute you. You die. Well, this is what is vote or die. Now, as a result, they ran to the polls, and they voted, and now they just registered for the draft. You're going to fucking die. If you register for the draft. How many niggas voted with that stuff? Congratulations. Your ass going to the right. Congratulations. Mess around and vote. After you die, you vote. No, you're going to die. Fucking vote. Congratulations. They just signed you up for the draft. Not only that, this is when you knew something was going on. Anybody hear about this? They was going up to niggas on the street. Guys like, I can't vote, I'm a felon. That's all right. Felons can vote. You see what I'm saying? Vote or die. Guess what? The people, the brothers in prison, some of them are already being shipped out. They told the brothers in prison, you can get rid of 20 years by fighting. You got life, fight. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Some of them already shipped out. But they had a voter drive and they used these Negroes like Puff Daddy and the other guy, Russell Simmons. You got to understand something about these people. Remember Steve Copeland was talking about this, and I know this for a fact. Steve Copeland was talking about how a lot of people that they run the society, they mentor in college. They have these sponsors and they mentor them into the secret, the Boule or whatever the secret societies. And they go on being the Negroes, you see what I'm saying, and sell out your lives for you. Well, that's what they did with Puff Daddy at Howard. Oh. So they mentioned him on a certain secret society and funneled him right into the whole music industry so he could be over all these Negroes. He said all of those particular people. Now the reason why I know that for a fact is this: they're vote or die. See what I'm saying? Now what they have done is that they've signed people up for the draft. So you voted, you automatically. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Why that white man is something. And he don't even have to be crafty. It's just that we have a analytical ability is obsolete in the black race. You see what I'm saying? It's obsolete. You have a training. You have a drone life, whereas you have a series of events that you do every day. But analytical ability is obsolete, especially in the ones that was born. You know, they say this is different. They said there's a difference here that people who was born before television, they could perceive things more.
All right, so right there we see how even back then they used a vote or die, which we all know about. They had the rappers use it to basically get people into the voting system, and then they shipped them out of the war. You know, vote or die in the Bush election. The 9/11 happened, and we went out to Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, wherever we can go to fight the war. But they got people in there ready to vote, willing to vote. Everybody even taking felons. We also see Brother Bobby. I mean, you see, our people don't, a lot of us don't have, even, at least back then, a lot of people like to claim they vote today, but we don't have an analytical type of way of thinking no more. Nobody wants to do research. Once you do research, the conspiracy can't stand. Nothing can stand. You will know the truth from all angles. So and just like I said at the end, older people, like I was speaking about, older people, they're just not affected the same way as younger people are. So there's another way they gotta wipe them out. The coming of the age, these older people have some latent powers that could be awakened right now, in this day and age too, and they need to be wiped out as well, for those reasons too. This is some more political stuff, and we'll get into how the age is coming upon us later. But Trump, this is in September 11, 2019, which he talked about as the Ethiopian New Year. September 11, 2019, Trump calls for central bank to cut interest rates to 0. And we all know, it was 2019. We all know what the interest rates are, or should know what they are about. They're almost at 0, 0.25, 0. They're even almost talking about going negative. Talking about the interest costs could be way down. Talking about calling them boneheads, but this is just Trump basically being their little puppet. He's an actor, so people are telling him how to act to get what they want, or see what get the people to get riled up, and then they can push a certain agenda on people. But basically calling the Federal Reserve boneheads, and you just can't fight with Federal Reserve, because they own the money. And the last two people that tried to fight with the Federal Reserve, Abraham Lincoln, John Kennedy, the people who tried to change the money, because Abraham Lincoln didn't get killed because of the slavery. He got one of the reasons, but he got killed because of he was trying to replace the money, trying to do a different money system. And the same thing goes for JFK. They released different coins, I think it was. And after he got killed, they took them all right back. So, and if you look them up, Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy, people can see the similar attributes between them, and the similar events as well, which are numerous people report on. So it's wild. But it's a Fed. They're basically controlling everything now, print whatever money they want to. Comes that the U.S. economy stares down financial warning signs, and this is 2019. Chairman comes that the U.S. economy stares down financial warning signs indicating a possible recession. But Powell said last week the central bank is not forecasting or expecting such a crisis. Okay, well, we in it now. Hints at an imminent reduction in rates. Trump savaged the chairman on Twitter, pondering whether Powell or China's communist leader Xi Jinping was America's bigger enemy. Which, is Huawei, which we already talked about. Whatever the fuck it is. Yeah. Now it's Friday, you activate. The military is ready. Here is what we talked about earlier. The ready reserve components to help in the country's response to the fast-spreading coronavirus pandemic. I don't know what they're going to have them do. What is the military going to do? Attack this invisible enemy? What are you launching an attack on with the military? There's nothing you could do with the military. And that's ridiculous. That just shows that you're sitting here taking people into martial law, activating the military armed reserves. Who said recall up to 1 million individuals for up to 2 years. For up to 2 years? Hold on, wait. Recall up to 1 million individuals for 2 years. For up to 2 years. Do they think they're going to fight the coronavirus that long? What? The thing that long? The hoax. They're launching a hoax for 2 years. It's not going to last. Nothing has lasted that long. They're trying to enact law. There's no way that you need 1 million reserves for 2 years in America. But you just gotta look. You gotta read between the lines. Here again, we have why is I don't understand why Bill Gates' opinion is needed on any of this. But you see, he's like they keep going to him. Says that the U.S. should shut down the entire country for a short period of time to control the spread. And he predicts the number of cases is going to peak in April. He predicts. Why do we need Bill Gates? When did he become a virologist? Or a doctor? His name doesn't have doctor in the front of it. This shows you. I mean, his tech company, of course, is battling the other tech company in China. Microsoft, Huawei, Wawa. Let's call it Wawa, right? But yeah. Here, Prince Charles suffered from a mild case of coronavirus. Okay. Like, I thought this was severe. Every time somebody get it. Warning paper of potential economic ruin. You know, money printing to print off government debt. Inflation is low. You know, the Fed was trying to balance the sheet by buying up government bonds. And they want a balance sheet worth $4.7 trillion by 2025. Right down here, world sleepwalking into the next financial crisis. See if you go to that. To decrease the reliance on fiat currency. You know. This article on Bitcoin. But still, you know, they talking about it. They were predicting it. Balance sheet expansion is printing money, but only for too big to fail financial institutions. Well, what is America? America is too big to fail. They'll give them whatever type of money too big to fail, but they're gonna get their money, like we was talking about. I mean, we're gonna go to war if we have to. You know, the Fed doesn't own everything. They can go to China, wage war on China, and get more assets. Properties, you know. Even what is it? Antiques, artifacts. And that's what they want the most, really. Because they print the money, like we said. You know, they can have anything, but they waging war on a whole nother level. And like we spoke about in my other video, Brother Bobby Hemmitt spoke about, you know, they do have that Negro element over there. They do have pyramids and Same reason they attacked Afghanistan and Iraq and Iran. You know, they have stuff over there. You know, that's just upper Africa right there. You know, this is how they get into, this is how they get over there and take stuff. Get to raid, basically, you know, old, ancient sites. See here, yeah. It's just taking a couple, this was just taken a couple days ago. This week, 0.25. The Fed's fund rate just a month ago was 1.75. Damn. Like, that's not even cut half. Y'all just almost whole. Soon they'll probably just pay a flat rate. And I was talking and with it, I was talking about the money and everything, and basically it's just a refinance of America, and took out another loan to add on to, you know, the length, because America is like really the only country that constantly is building. You know, it's like the, you know, it's a tourist attraction. It's the advertisement of the world. So America is constantly building something to attract people from all over the world. This as well, ship something out. You know, be advertisements in other countries. So, you know, you got to keep building. And honestly, who's better to be the face of that than Trump? You know, basically claiming, the king of claiming bankruptcy. Refinance America, make his term longer, take out another loan, and promise basically, you know, the people, you're gonna raise prices on everything eventually. You know, next 10 years things are gonna go up, and send people out to war now. So, you know, that's what basically what we promised, what Trump has promised the Fed, and that will be under more control because he's already enacted martial law. Secretly, you know, scaring people and shit. You know, it's all going with the plan. America's too big to fail. There's too many workers over here. They can't let it go. America fails, the rest of the world's gonna start fucking up, or, you know, not even fucking up. America's, nobody's gonna know what to do. America's just like the sheltered child. All American people think they work hard, but it's not even really like that. It's just like the sheltered child. It's like Michael Jackson, basically. You're the sheltered child, or we're gonna make you work like a motherfucker. We're gonna beat you if you don't work hard. You know, basically like Michael Jackson's childhood. You know, by his father. You know, that's what America is. The sheltered child by the abusive, brought up by the abusive father. It's ridiculous. Here we go. We have fake Bill Gates post. So many people connecting, you know, Bill Gates to the coronavirus, and then, you know, this is just talking about how, I guess, Bill Gates feels like, oh, this is bringing people together, or y'all can see, oh, we are all equal, how precious our health is, and the shortness of life. You know, we can't put up false borders. You know, basically bullshit. You know, but obviously it's fake. And he wouldn't do this as a philanthropic view, and even tying it to him that way shows, you know, it's like that connection. Another one connection right here. Bill Gates, the coronavirus. U.S. testing needs to increase quite dramatically. So, you know, They test, you know, they're gonna test your ass and basically give you the virus anyway. It like we spoke about in the second video, how when they test for the virus, your body creates viruses to defeat basically new diseases, organisms that come into your body and want to do you harm. So it creates viruses to latch onto those organisms to kill them, and basically the test is testing for that, and your body does that naturally to defeat those organisms, or those new organisms trying to harm your body. And your body tests for that, and then they basically say you have the coronavirus. So, you know, he says the testing needs to increase dramatically. Why, Bill Gates? Why the fuck does anybody care what you think? You're the co-founder of Microsoft. Go do some Microsoft things. What? He's in on this shit. And here we have Warren Buffett's Berkshire, like we said, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, buddy. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway has the cash to buy Tesla, Starbucks, or McDonald's after coronavirus sell-off. Is that fucking this man right here? They have $125 billion in cash and short-term investments, meaning he could buy McDonald's, Tesla, or Starbucks. Boeing. It's ridiculous. I just want to point out this little advertisement. New 5G stock set to store. Really? This little advertisement. Fig represents one of the greatest technological shifts in our lifetime. It's a little advertisement trying to hype up everybody. He say you're gonna set the store. Yeah, I bet. Fuck y'all. Goodbye. T-Mobile, 3M, GE, Target, GM. It's ridiculous. Berkshire Hathaway. Remember, we said that Bill Gates was best friends with Warren Buffett. They met 30 years ago. His mother introduced him. You know, knowing the shit they on, you know, the cult shit they on in the first place, you know, Warren Buffett's probably getting on it with his mama. You know, them white people on that weird freaky shit. You know, they just don't know each other like that. You know, I thought Bill Gates just came up, created something in his garage, didn't know anybody. But his mama know Warren Buffett, really? Alright. You know. And then Berkshire Hathaway, what is now equivalent to 25% of BYD Hong Kong traded stock. China's biggest maker of alternative energy vehicles have soared more than 500% since then. He's made $1.6 billion. Let's see if we can get on the website real quick. So Warren Buffett is involved in China. And this was back in 2018. So, you know, don't get confused. Of course, this man is involved in this shit as well. This man has a hand in everything. But he is a face that's out there, you know. I don't know if it's the ego. You know, but everybody does rely on him for what the market's going to do. God of stocks. Psh. Divesting the shares in PetroChina as well. Made $3.5 billion in 2007 when he invested $500 million in 2003. So you know, this man involved in China as well, involved with China as well, and he can make money over there too, depending on everything. Okay, dope. That's it for this part. Start getting into the more mythical part of it. Energy, metaphysics, cult, some religion. Don't get scared. We all good. It don't mean shit. It's just your body. All right. Here we go. All right. So we should know the hoax really means crown in Latin, and even in English means the aura surrounding the sun. And as we know, or as you should know, in the Hermetic principles, as above, so below. So the same aura that surrounds the sun is the same aura that surrounds you. So, you know, we spoke about earlier, the coronal mass ejections spitting out of the sun. Here we have a solar storm. It was written in January 2019, saying that the sun will undergo a period of solar minimum between 2019 and 2020. It just went through a solar maximum in the past 11, 12 years, though. These previous years. So, it doesn't mean that it subsides or weakens, though, just because it's in a minimum. Like I said, it gives way to coronal mass ejections and the conditions for heightened geomagnetic activity. All right. And these souls start a solar cycle, but during the solar minimum, they can last for a long time, 6 months or more. And they're talking about it, you know, us being locked down, because, you know, the sun has been shining like crazy these past couple weeks. I'm talking us about us being on lockdown. And these sun rays can, you know, help out a certain type of people, you know. You know, these are charged solar winds escaping from the sun, coming down to Earth. You know, they're talking about how they can wipe out satellites, disable communication, and render Earth's navigation systems useless. You know, just another thing happening in 2012. This is really not 2020. It's 2012 in the Ethiopian calendar that we spoke about in the previous videos. It's another thing stacking up on the rare events all coinciding this year. I think we have been speaking about the age of Aquarius, the moon being in the 7th house. Oh, give me a moment. So, here, just want to point out a couple things. It's basically show the age of Aquarius, how the age of Aquarius is a much larger cycle that isn't quite as clear. Each lasts around 2100 years. You know, Earth and its relationship to the sign of Aquarius, section of the zodiac, how the constellation behind the sun at the vernal equinox changes. The ecliptic path of the sun across the sky changes because of the Earth's rotation that has a wobble. And basically, one man said that we'll go through it, or Age of Aquarius arrived in the 20th century around 1447 and will go through 3597. Basically saying that this is already the age of Aquarius. But it hasn't happened upon us yet, though. They said it happened in 1999. They could also, like we spoke about, have been trying to push off a certain energy. You know, performing rituals to push off a certain energy these past couple years. Other people believe it began in 2012. Well, like we just spoke about, what is this year? It's 2012. You know. In the Ethiopian calendar. Here again, roughly every 2,150 years. Age of Aquarius. You know, before that time, the sun's position every 2,150 years The sun's position at the time of the March or vernal equinox moves in front of a new zodiac constellation. Moves out of Pisces and into the constellation Aquarius. So Pisces is the last one. Aquarius is this one. Saying there's no definitive answer. And I'm just giving y'all a couple of sources where, you know, it says it happens every 2,000 years to Wikipedia. You know, it's just basic shit, you know, I'm using to connect. And the Aquarian age, 2,000 to 4,000. You know, but like I said, there's a certain energy that keeps being pushed off by the elite. You know, keeps being pushed off to rise. They're saying that the Aquarian age still some 150 years ahead of us still right now, and that we still live in the Pisces age. You know, which we'll talk about how that connects later, and we've already talked about, you know, with the Nomo. You know, that's the monotheistic age, basically. Is the Pisces age. He said, is regarded as the beginning of the Christian religion. And a code word for, you know, moreover, the 12 apostles are called the fishes of men. You know, age of Pisces, early Christians called themselves little fishes. And a code word for Jesus was the Greek word fish, you know, because you have that little fish, that Jesus fish on the back of people's cars. And, you know, it's basically the beginning of the Christian religion. Looking for a savior outside of yourself, which we talked about with the Nomo people, waiting for an alien to come down. You know, here again. Age of Pisces, the age of faith. You know, faith outside of self instead of knowing. Because the age of Aquarius is the age of knowing. Things 2,150, you know. They say how they do it. Take the 26,000 and 25,800 divided by 12, and then you get the number. We'll have to figure out later which age we're in, how far it is along, because I know Libra is the 7th house. As a species, we are currently crossing from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. Since the Earth is moving in retrograde motion, we have left the age of Pisces. First day of winter. And, you know, it says right here, not an instant effect. Moreover, just like, you know, first day of winter, change from fall to winter, it doesn't happen overnight. Some believe it, you know, this is referring to the man earlier that said it happened in 1440 and 1447. And it just says depends on where you accept the boundary for the constellation Aquarius to be, I guess. But we drew the star maps early in the 20th century, probably just to, you know, put it off earlier. Put it off at a later date, I mean. You know, basically the age of Aquarius, revival of spirit among the new generation. You know, that's what they are putting off, the revival of spirit among the new generation. There's no spirit, you know, there's no creation in the new generation. It's using old shit all the time, especially in the music. What we just have to realize as well is, what is Aquarius? What is the age of Aquarius? It's right there in the name. It's aqua, water. The image of the Aquarius is a man pouring out water. You know, so it has to do with water. You know, we have Antarctica melting, new water coming out, frozen water that's been kept coming out into the ocean now, that people can digest. You know, we have to be aware of this. You know, we'll get into that later. What does that mean? You know, the sun is sitting here melting caps and stuff. They don't want it. They don't want certain. They say they don't want the oceans to rise. Or do you not just want people getting that water? That's important. It's important. But here we have this paragraph about the coming Aquarian age These people selling bottled water, basically talking about the age of self-realization, the Kundalini awakening. If anybody know about the Kundalini, it has to do with the serpent, basically, at the bottom of your root chakra, and you have to raise it up. Basically, you know, the Aquarian Age is, you know, everybody raising their serpent up, their Kundalini energy up to their crown. Like we spoke about earlier, you rise it from you, or we spoke about the crown, but you rise their Kundalini energy up from your root to your navel, to your stomach or sacral, to your heart, to your throat, to your third eye, and then to your crown. Crown is the last one, which is enlightenment, full enlightenment. You have to fight through each, you know, this is seven chakras, basically. We'll get into that later as well. 7 is always a big number. Forms will disappear. Science and religion will merge, and that's important. Science and religion merging, because that's the problem is, you can either only follow a scientific way or a religious way, but it can't be both. It can't be combined, and that's the problem. Spirit and matter are derived from the same source, and are only modifications of one universal energy. You know, basically, if we've been the fish this whole time, you know, we've been Pisces this whole time, we've been the one fish, the next age we become the water. We become the whole ocean. We're everything, you know? We're everywhere. That's the new mind. That's the new age of thinking. We're no longer just one fish. We're all combined into the ocean. You know? Sitting here. More peace, understanding, freedom, cooperation, and egolessness. No ego. That's the problem. Everybody got a big ass ego. People say, you know, this man sit here and, you know, denounces it. People can get, you know, seems odd that human beings would have endured all these other documented ages, from the Leo age to the Piscean age, but you just got to understand, it's a way, it's a training of thought. It's a train of thought. You know, it's a train of thought. One has brought more war, which is the age of Aries, of course. Or is it Aries? Yeah. You know. And then the Piscean age. The Aries age brings us together, though. I mean, the Aquarius age brings us together, though. You have that. I mean, we'll get into more shit later, because I want to connect more shit to that. You know, stars look at seen from the earth. Some theories on what, you know, people think it can mean. Sun is at the equinox. Age Aquarius comes from, along with other changes of stars. South celestial poles, north and south, you know, switch. Celestial poles switch, which talked about Sirius and A and Sirius B switching. The stars relative to each other due to the stars. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Something about Lovecraft stories, which we'll get into later. So, this is about what we've been speaking about. Jupiter and Mars align, which just so happened to happen March 25th, a couple days ago. Actually, March 26th. Early in the morning. Jupiter, Mars, and Saturn, you see them coming up. Later on, they align more, though. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn is strung out diagonally in that order from upper right to lower left. but the best is yet to come. Spaced again, but this time much closer together, and they will form an upside down isosceles triangle with Mars serving as the point of the vertex angle. Basically, what is it? Yeah, Mars will move up more, I guess. Yeah, it'll be Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. I think Mars is in retrograde. Hold on. Because we're going to look at the map later on. The exact map of it. How everything lined up. Yeah, it was just March 26th. A close conjunction of 3 or more planets is quite unusual. And Jupiter and Mars. Over the last 500 years, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars have gathered together just 8 times. But just as well, this is another event that stacks on top of the events that have been coinciding in 2012. Again, more. This isn't even cataclysmic or nothing. You know, this is just astonishing. You know, there's astonishing events that happen as well. On February 25th in 6 BC, happened in the age of Pisces. But this is the first time that it happened in the age of Aquarius. So you have to understand that moved to the age of Aquarius, which we'll get into how we know that in a little bit. Again, Jupiter and Mars will make a close approach. You see them right here. And they have Saturn. And you can catch them. Yeah. Look it up. Now. Here. I wanted to get into another thing according to Dr. Kaku, blah, blah, blah. See if I can get to the beginning. Where I started at. Damn. We have, which we was talking about, a solar maximum, which we spoke about earlier, is the most likely window of opportunity for a major solar flare to hit Earth. It's like rifles shooting bullets into outer space. You know, this is a solar maximum we were speaking about earlier. Of course, outer space is quite big, but one of these days, one of these solar flares is going to hit Earth. Like what happened in 1858, and all hell can break loose. Highly charged streams of, this is 2019, you know, 6 days after the other article. Solar flares are highly charged streams of, you know, gaseous energy. Just talking about how they're going to hit Earth. Talking about, imagine 20 Hurricane Katrinas. We'll be through, you know, trying to scare people, but as above, so below, as we know. Everything that happens out there happens inside, happens on Earth. And we hear, you know, 1859, they speak about something hitting Earth. And if we look, see what happened in 1859, or they say 150 years, but that was in 2019. They refer to 1859, which is weird because that would be 160 years. But no matter the case though, we look up 1859 is you know, John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry, where he tried to spark a slave rebellion. You know, basically caused the Civil War, and yeah, I think the South ended up succeeding. Did a Confederate flag. Yeah. 1859. But if we go to 1868, you know, that's after the Civil War, and fucking, you know, who won? You know, the North won. Slaves were emancipated. You know, this here Dred Scott's decision, which we know wasn't overturned, but you know, here they just reference that. This is well I'm gonna go to real quick. 1869. American history. Oh, 1869. But you know. Civil War. Blah, blah, blah. Ulysses S. Grant. You know, so this events like that spark different, you know, rebellions and shit, you know. You know what I'm saying, basically. You know, ripping towards radiation out into space and towards Earth. So 1859, Lincoln started, or Abraham Lincoln ran. You know, he gave his speech to the Ohio Republicans. As a blah position on popular sovereignty and the Supreme Court's decision on the Dred Scott decision. You know, basically saying he doesn't withhold. You know, doesn't want to. We must not disturb slavery in the states where it already exists. Basically, is what he's saying. But he said he doesn't want to let it spread. Blah. You know. Still, either way. Another thing, you know, another event. Just want to point out, we have Selena, as you know, is of course strong energy to Mexican people, and we know. I mean, come on, we basically, you know, kicking Mexicans out the goddamn country or having problems with Mexicans, and they sit here and they put her on the front page. You know, that's energy right there. Another event coinciding this year, her 25th year after she has passed. There's more shit, you know, it stacks up. And especially in this time, you know, all in March. All this shit happening in March. With these planets lining up as well. Again, another event, St. Patrick's Day. Which has passed. But still, if you want to take a look. What are the Irish people? Who are the leprechauns? They're the Twa people from Africa. You know, 411. You know, they were thought of as magical. They migrated to Ireland over 10,000 years ago. These Twa people. You know, that's basically the energy that the St. Patrick Day is based off of. Is going to, or not going to, but stealing from, basically, and giving to this white leprechaun, or, you know, these people that have stolen the legacy, posing as the Irish, the real Irish. Should get into a little bit later on. This is the great goddess. And again here, age of Leo, the golden age, 10,000 to 8,000. Cancer is the age of the great mother. 8,000 to 6,000, the age of trade, which is the age of Gemini. 6,000 to 4,000, which is the age of Taurus, which is the age of agriculture. You know, you can line all these ages up in time and shit. 4,000 to 2,000, the age of Aries, which is the age of war, which we'll start talking about a little bit, mythology, possibly in the next video. Mythology is lining up with everything, even the zodiac and shit. Yeah, most definitely. Aries, the age of war, and from 2000 to 0 is the age of Pisces. You know, just basically that. What they've been saying. And then, you know, the age of monotheism. And now, the age of Aquarius from 0 to 2000. Which some will call, you know, the age of freedom. you know, but we haven't entered it yet. And the time has been so messed up is that we wouldn't know when we have entered it. So let's continue. Or not. I'm gonna try to wrap this video up, so I'm getting too long, over an hour. But I promise, the mythos, the religion, the science behind it all, the occult, esoteric knowledge, all be in the next video. I might have to do 2 videos to keep them below an hour. That's really about it. I just want to go over a couple more things on this, on the political agenda. Anonymous came out with a message for Bill Gates. Yeah, so even there, recognizing that Bill Gates is a ruthless corporate CEO, basically talking about how, comparing it to John D. Rockefeller, when Rockefeller's reputation was at its worst, he hired propaganda, public relations to shape up his public image. Same thing with Bill Gates. We know that he's stolen ideas. We right here, and the best investment he's ever made is delivery of new medicines. And we see, this is how he's been perfecting it over there in India to bring it over there to bring it over here to America. So, and Thomas Desley was being the man that Rockefeller, Bernays, Ivy Lee. Yeah. I just want to also state that Bill Gates did have a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, which is important. The human trafficker. So when it's weird he died. But and here it says, of course, all this sounds like a necessary step in a global pandemic. With him taking draconian measures by including surveillance systems to track down anyone who might be infected. While it seems like a necessary step, after those measures have been implemented, human rights violations follow quickly after. And also right here, just like we spoke about in my other videos, it is also very strange that for many years, your companies and foundations have been heavily involved in a project called ID 2020. Basically ID in your blood system in 2020. So it's weird how Bill Gates keeps getting connected to it. He's getting connected, and then did the Fed just accidentally trigger a housing market crash? No, they didn't accidentally do shit. They knew what the fuck they was doing. This is all planned. So now they're gonna get a lot of banks can go out of business. They can buy them up. A lot of properties, houses gonna, be up for sale or go back to the banks, so they can start selling it to the new generation. The old generation is on its way out. So basically what it's saying, trying to fuck over the old generation. Which, out with the new energy, the old energy anyway, shit, but not this way. And that's about it. Yep. So that's it for this video. I think this is part 5. We're going to go into the mythos more in the next video. I thank y'all for sticking around for so long. I know it's been a long ride. We're going to finish up in the next video. And if not, at the very least, at the very most, the video after that will only be a couple, 30 minutes at the most. But I thank you for the view. Please like, comment, and share. Keep on learning with me. We're learning every day. I'm going to try to keep this entertaining, even if it's not really entertaining. But knowledge is good. I thank y'all. Have a great day. Be safe. And Ashe, stay whole.